Hey again. During our second week in Taiwan, Gina and I head south. What I wasn't prepared for were the heat and humidity since I got heat stroke near the end of our trip. Meanwhile, my maternal grandma kept reminding us to put on layers even with temps well in the 70s. We took the high-speed rail to Tainan for the weekend to see another old friend, Grace. I also hadn't really visited the city before, so we were excited to explore. Tainan is the oldest city in Taiwan and was the old capital under Dutch rule. Tainan is also known as the food capital of Taiwan, which we wanted to prove for ourselves. Our first stop was the Anping district with its numerous historical sites. You can get a ticket pass to the 4 main locations here for a small discount. These spots are now museums of Taiwanese history, from early Dutch rule to modern Japanese occupation. A common figure that you'll see is the Chinese pirate/general who defeated the Dutch and welcomed the wave of Chinese immigrants to Taiwan in the 17th century. We also walked around Anping Old Street, the first merchant street in Tainan. Gina got a water bottle shoulder bag that looks like the popular tote bag people use for groceries. It's also jokingly called the Taiwan LV bag. We ended the day at the Garden Night Market and Sennong Street. Both locations were packed with people for the weekend. On the way back to our hostel, we walked by Snail Alley, offering a quiet escape from the busy streets. Nydia, whom we saw in Taipei, joined us the next day, and we explored downtown Tainan together by scooter. This was Gina's first time on a scooter, and she had a lot of fun. We checked out the Hayashi department store, where you can buy all sorts of souvenirs with a vintage flair. There are also plenty of museums scattered throughout the city center. At the National Museum of Taiwan Literature, we saw a cool exhibit about censorship during modern Taiwanese history. The exhibit even showed the game Detention that takes place during the restrictive White Terror period of the mid-20th century. Taiwan was handed over from Japan to the Republic of China following World War II, and the KMT Party was exiled shortly afterward by the communists from mainland China. The KMT Party fled to Taiwan and declared a long-period martial law. This bit of history is less well known, but crucial in understanding the complex Taiwanese identity. We finally said goodbye to Grace and Nydia before taking the train back to Taichung. Even though we struggled with the heat and mosquitoes in Tainan, we enjoyed learning about the history weaved throughout the ancient city. For the last part of our trip, we stayed mainly in the Taichung area where my mom is from and got to see her side of the family. One of the main highlights was visiting Sun Moon Lake, known for its scenic views and indigenous culture, namely the Sao tribe. There's a nice pedestrian trail surrounding the lake and ferries that take you around to different spots. One of them is Ida Sao, which has a small strip of stores and restaurants. We saw many owl-themed souvenirs, tried some millet wine, and had gourmet indigenous cuisine. Although we didn't have enough time, there's a gondola that takes you to the Formosan Aboriginal Culture Village that's both an amusement park and outdoor museum. In Taichung, we got to hang out with my maternal grandma. She always insists on eating homemade food, which honestly was much needed after so much street food. Her impressive kitchen was built by my late grandpa, a former carpenter. She's been keeping the kitchen the same more or less for as long as I remember. My grandma took us to Qingshui Temple and the nearby day market. There was so much energy in the chaos with scooters constantly weaving through colorful stalls full of produce. While I wasn't as close with my mom's parents as a kid, I grew closer with my maternal grandma after staying with her the past few times I was back. She doesn't express her feelings openly, but I now understand how she speaks through her actions. For instance, I asked for a simple carbon steel wok and she searched 2 whole markets until she found a high quality one. Because I didn't cook until I started grad school a few years ago, I hope to learn as much from her as I can. Taichung also has quite a rich history and culture too. A little outside of Taichung in Zhanghua is Luga, or Deer Port. It used to be a deerskin trading port during Dutch rule. We walked through many old shops, stalls, and temples partitioned by brick alleyways that take you back in time. After all the traveling we did earlier, we enjoyed ending our trip by seeing more family. Because of college and grad school, I've struggled finding time to visit. But after this trip, I'm glad that I finally did it. I'm also happy that Gina got to meet my family, and even happier that they enjoyed meeting her too. This was our first big trip together, and we can't wait to explore more places.
Too stupid. Hello, dog.